ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीशुक उवाच एवमेतत्पुरा पृष्टो मैत्रेयो भगवान् किल तत्रावनं प्रविष्टेन त्यक्त्वा स्वगृहं रिद्धिमत्.
Shukadeva Goswami said, after renouncing his prosperous home and entering the forest, King Vidura, the great devotee, asked this question of His Grace Maitri Shrish.
Hare Krishna.
यद्वा अयं मन्त्रकृद्वो भगवानखिलेश्वरः पौरवेन्द्रगृहं हित्वा प्रविवेशात्मसात्कृतम्.
What else is there to say about the residential house of the Pandavas? Sri Krishna, the Lord of everything, acted as your minister. He used to enter that house as if it were his own, and he did not take care of Duryodhana's house.
राजोवाच कुत्र क्षतुर्भगवता मैत्रेयेण सङ्गमः कदा वा सः संवादः एतद्वर्णय प्रभो.
The king asked Shukadeva Goswami, where and when did the meeting and discussion take place between the saint Vidura and his grace Maitreyi Muni? Kindly oblige, my lord, and describe this to us.
न ह्यल्पार्थोदयस्तस्य विदुरस्यामलात्मनः तस्मिन् वरीयसि प्रश्नः साधुवादोपब्रह्मितः.
Saint Vidura was a great and pure devotee of the Lord, and therefore his questions to His Grace Rishi Maitreyi must have been very purposeful, on the highest level, and approved by learned circles.
सुत उवाच स एवं ऋषिवार्योऽयं पृष्टुरज्ञा परीक्षिता प्रत्याह तं सुबहुवित् प्रीतात्मा श्रूयतामिति.
Sri Suta Goswami said, the great sage Shukadeva Goswami was highly experienced and was pleased with the king. Thus being questioned by the king, he said to him, please hear the topics attentively.
श्रीशुक उवाच यदा तु राजा स्वसुतान् साधून् पुष्णं न धर्मेण विनष्टदृष्टि भ्रातुर्यविष्टस्य सूतान् विबान्धून् प्रवेश्य लाक्षा भवने ददाह.
Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, King Dhritarashtra became blind under the influence of impious desires to nourish his dishonest sons, and thus he set fire to the Leka house to burn his fatherless nephews, the Pandavas.
यदा स्वयं क्रूरुदेवा देव्या केशाभिमर्शं सुतकर्मगर्यां न वारयामास नृपास्नुषाया स्वाश्रैर्हरन्त्या कुचकुङ्कुमानि.
The king did not forbid his son Dushasana's abominable action of grabbing the hair of Draupadi, the wife of the godly king Yudhishthira, even though her tears washed the red dust on her breast.
द्यूते त्वधर्मेण चित्तस्य साधो सत्यावलम्बस्य वनं गतस्य न याचते शास्त्रो.
Yudhishthira, who was born without any enemy, was unfairly defeated in gambling, but because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, He went off to the forest, where he became in due course and begged the return of his rightful share of the kingdom.
कृतायनानि राजोरुमेने क्षतपुण्यलेशः.
Lord Krishna was sent by Arjuna into the assembly as the spiritual master of the whole world, and although his words were heard by some like Bhishma as pure nectar, it was not so far it was not so for the others, who were completely bereft of the last farthing of past pious works. The king, Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, did not take the words of Lord Krishna very seriously.
यतोपहि बहुतो भवनं प्रविष्टो मन्त्राय पृष्टा किल पूर्वजेन अथाह तन्मन्त्रदृशं वरीयान् यन्मन्त्रिणो वै दुरीकं वदन्ति.
When Vidura was invited by his elder brother Dhritarashtra for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of the state.
अजातशत्रो प्रतियाच्च दायं तितीक्षतो दुर्विसाहं तवाग सहानुजो यत्र विकोदराहि स्वासन् रुषाय त्वमलं बिभेषि.
Vidura said, "You must now return to the legitimate share to Yudhishthira, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you're afraid of him."
पार्थां सुदेवो भगवान् मुकुन्दो घ्रीतवंशक्षिति देवा देवा अष्टे स्वपुर्यां यदुदेव देवो विनिर्जितेताशेषनृदेव देवा.
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pritha as his kinsmen, and all the kings of the world are with Lord Sri Krishna. He is present in his home with all his family members, the kings and princes of the Yadu dynasty, who have conquered an unlimited number of rules, and he is their Lord.
स एष दोषः पुरुषः द्विधास्ते घ्रान् प्रविष्टो यमपत्यामात्या पुष्णासि कृष्णाद्विमुखो गताश्रीष् त्यजास्वशैवं कुरु कौशलया.
You are maintaining offense personified, Duryodhana, as your infallible son, but he is envious of Lord Krishna, and because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible, and do good for the whole family.
इत्युच्चिवांस्तत्र सुयोधनेन प्रवृद्धकोपः स्फुरिदिताधीरेण असत्कृतासत् स्पृहणीयशीला क्षत्तः सकर्णानुजसो बलेन.
While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Garnya, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Shakuni.
इत्युच्चिवांस्तत्र सुयोधनेन इत्युच्चिवांस्तत्र सुयोधनेन प्रवृद्धकोपः स्फुरिताधरेण असत्कृता
While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Shakuni.
क एनमत्रोपजुहावजीमं दास्यसुतं यद्बलिनेव पुष्टा तस्मिन् प्रतीपा परिकृत्याष्टे निर्वास्यतामाशु पुरा श्वसाना.
Who asked him to come here, this son of a kept mistress? He is so crooked that he spies in the interest of the enemy against those on whose support he has grown up. Toss him out of the palace immediately and leave him with only his breath.
स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायां भ्रातुपुरो मर्मसुतादितोऽपि स इत्थमत्युल्बणकर्णबाणे गतव्यथो यादुर्मानयाना.
Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme.
स निर्गतः कौरवः पुण्यलब्धो गजाव्ययतीर्थपदापदानि अन्वाकृमत्पुण्यचिकीर्षयोर्व्यम् अधिष्ठितो यानि सहस्रमूर्ति.
By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapur, he took shelter of many places of pilgrimages, which are the Lord's lotus feet. With a desire to gain a higher order of pious life, he traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated.
पुरेषु पुण्योपवनाद्रिकुञ्जेषु अपङ्कतो येषु सरित्सरासु अनन्तलिङ्गे समलाङ्कृतेषु चचारतीर्थाय तेष्वानन्या.
He began to travel alone, thinking only of Krishna, through various holy places like Ayodhya, Dwaraka, and Mathura. He traveled where the grove, hill, orchard, river, and lake are all pure and sinless, and where the forms of the unlimited decorate the temples. Thus he performed the pilgrim's progress.
गाम्पर्यतन्मेद्य विविक्तवृत्ति सदा प्लुतोधाशयनोऽवधूत अलक्षिता स्वेरवधूतवेषो व्रतानि चेरे हरितोषणानि.
While so traversing the earth, he simply performed duties to please the Supreme Lord Hari. His occupation was pure and independent. He was constantly sanctified by taking his bath in holy places, although he was in the dress of a mendicant and had no hairdressing nor a bed on which to lie. Thus he was always unseen by his various relatives.
इत्थं व्रजन् भारतमेव वर्षं कालेन यावद् गतवान् प्रभासं तावत् शासी क्षितिमेकचक्राम् एकातपत्रामजितेन पार्थ.
Thus, when he was in the land of Bharatavarsha, traveling to all the palaces of pilgrimage, he visited Prabhaskshetra. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthira was the emperor and held the world under one military strength and one flag.
तत्राति शुश्रावसुरद्विनष्टिं वनं यथा वेणुजवानि संशयं संस्पर्धया दग्धमथानुशोचन् सरस्वतीं प्रत्यगीयाय तूष्णीम्.
At the place of pilgrimage at Prabhasa, it came to his knowledge that all his relatives had died due to violent passion, just as an entire forest burns down due to fire produced by the friction of bamboos. After this, he proceeded west, where the river Saraswati flows.
तस्यां तस्यां त्रितशोषणसोमनश्च ऋतुरथाग्नेरशिष्टस्य वायो तीर्थं सुदासस्य गवां गुहस्य यत्राददैवस्य स एषि सेवा.
On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely 1. Tritha, 2. Ushana, 3. Manu, 4. Ritu, 5. Agni, 6. Asita, 7. Vayu, 8. Sudasa, 9. Go, 10. Guha, 11. Shradadeva. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice recitations. Thank you very much, dear Pavani and Inakshi. Beautiful recitations. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
All
I just,
glories, all glories.
I just wanted to check. Today we're reading from verses 20 to 24. And I think Pavani finished at verse 22 or something, 23. But anyway, I'll just carry on with I'll share the screen. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskapta Naram Chaiva Narotanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nashtashu Bhadreshu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Matam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining in today's chat session, the 22nd of September 2024. My name is Krishna Govinda Das. Please accept my humble obeisances. So we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, which is titled The Status Quo, Chapter 1, Questions by Vidura. The verses we're reading is 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So I'll recite the first verse, verse 20. Ita vrajam bharatameva vasham kalena yava gatava prabhasam tavak chachasa shitam ekachakram ekatapatra majitena partha. Translation. Thus, when he was in the land of Bharatavarsha, traveling to all the places of pilgrimage, he visited Prabhakshetra. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthira was the emperor and held the world under one military strength and one flag. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. More than 5,000 years ago, while Saint Vidura was traveling the earth as a pilgrim, India was known as Bharatavarsha, as it is known even today. The history of the world cannot give any systematic account for more than 3,000 years into the past, but before that, the whole world was under the flag and military strength of Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was the emperor of the world. At present, there are hundreds and thousands of flags flapping the United Nations, but during the time of Vidura, there was, by the grace of Vijita, Lord Krishna, only one flag. The nations of the world are very eager to again have one state under one flag, but for this they must seek the favor of Lord Krishna, who alone can help us become the worldwide nation. So I just recite the introduction prayers. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shivishakamitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvashesha Sunyavadi Pachacha Desatayane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for joining in, and also seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and to my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Swami, and to all the listeners and Vaishnavas, both senior and juniors, so they could speak about the wonderful glories of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna from the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, as we have been listening to the last few classes, Vidura is traveling on pilgrimage at the moment, and then he's coming across the whole of Bharatavarsha, which was one whole place itself, ruled by, at that time, previously Maharaj Yudhishthira. And then his son was going to take over, or rather Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu, but unfortunately he got killed during the Battle of Kurukshetra. But after that, his son, who was born from the womb of Uttara, was become the emperor of the world. But at that time, Vidura, while he was traveling, he found out that the temple, the whole place was actually under one rule, and that was through the Pandavas. Now here Prabhupada mentions something really interesting about the United Nations, and it's actually amazing the way Prabhupada says everything in relation to Lord Krishna. For instance, he's saying, at the moment the nations, as you can see, all seems to be very divided. There's no unification whatsoever. All the nations seems to be wanting to be in control of their own destiny. They don't like to be controlled by any other nations. Certainly not in the case in Russia, what's going on at the moment. And Prabhupada actually mentions that if they really do want to have one flag and the one nation, then they really need to seek out the favor of Lord Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the most merciful, and only through our surrender unto the Supreme Lord can He show that mercy of how we can love and peace and prosperity. Another wonderful example that Srila Prabhupada also gave, in the time when they first visited India, there was a wedding that was taking place in one of the bundles in India, and it was actually two different foreigners who were Krishna conscious devotees, and everybody who was actually witnessing this was the people, the locals from India itself. And when they say this, Westerners getting married of two different nations, then Srila Prabhupada commented, this is real United Nations. The way that Krishna consciousness, they actually see everybody as a devotee of Krishna. They don't judge anybody by their nationality, by their color, by their creed, by the original religion that they followed. They all surrender to Krishna. They see Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And that is the duty of all of us who want to become devotees of Krishna, not just necessarily take this ability to advance ourselves for our own personal needs, but also try and encourage everybody else of whatever nations they could be, of whatever religion or whatever background, to actually allow them to become Krishna conscious and connected to Krishna. So the next verse 21, Tatrata Surashrava Surir Vidastim Anam Yata Venujavani Samshrayam Samspadaya Taktam Atana Sochan Saraswati Prajagiyaya Tushnim. At that place of pilgrimage at Prabhasa, he came to his knowledge that all his relatives had died due to violent passion, just as an entire forest burns due to fire produced by the friction of bamboos After this, he proceeded west, where the river Saraswati flows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, both the Kauravas and the Yadavas were relatives of Vidura. Vidura heard of the extinction due to fratricidal war. The comparison of the friction of forest bamboos to that of passion in human societies is appropriate. The whole world is compared to a forest. At any moment, there may be a flare-up of fire in the forest due to friction. No one goes to the forest to set it on fire, but due only to friction between bamboos, fire takes place and burns an entire forest. Similarly, in the greater forest of worldly transactions, a fire of war takes place because of the violent passion of the conditioned souls, illusioned by the external journey. Such a worldly fire can be extinguished only by the water of the mercy cloud of saints, such as a forest fire can be extinguished only by rains falling from a cloud. So earlier on, Vidura finds out, he hears the knowledge that all his relatives have passed away. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna, I am the destroyer of the worlds, and I've come here to destroy everyone. Both sides of the armies, except for the Pandavas, are already been slain. So already Krishna is predicting to Arjuna exactly what's going to be the outcome of the war. Both sides of the armies are going to be slaughtered. And the reason being because at the time when Krishna actually came, the people who were actually ruling the kingdom were not of religious qualities. You can see in the stories of the Kauravas how they tried to cheat the Pandavas in so many ways by deception, tried to burn them down, tried to poison them, tried to humiliate them in so many ways, tried to ban them from their kingdom as well, not even giving their kingdom back, even though they promised they'd give it back, cheated them in the chess game as well. So many ways. They were not actually good rulers at all, and it was duty bound that they will be actually be finished off. That was the whole reason why the whole battle of Kurukshetra took place. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions that this whole world is compared to a forest. This forest, it can live by itself without being touched or disturbed by anything. But when bamboo, through friction, rubs against each other, it automatically causes heat. From that heat, of course, it inevitably turns into a fire, burning the whole forest down. And Prabhupada actually explains this whole world is like a forest, it's very delicate. It just needs some friction to cause it to go on fire. This material world is considered to be like a blazing fire of material existence. Now, there's a particular verse from the Gauravashtakam which actually reflects this about this blazing forest of fire. Now it can be extinguished. Does anybody know which particular verse it is from the Gauravashtakam, from the Mangala Muni Mangalarti prayers?
The Bhavanagni, Davagni.
Sansara Dava Nalaliloka.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, Samsara Dava, Nalalita Loka, Sanaya Karanya, Ganaganatam,
Ganaganatam.
Pratasya
Prapatya
Kalya.
Kalyan Gunanavasya. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam.
Very good. You can read this as well, Mataji, highlighted in blue.
Pardon?
Can you read that? Highlighted in blue? Okay.
I can do it if you want.
Yeah, okay. Palika Mataji, yes, go ahead.
The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pour water on a forest fire extinguishes it. So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Palika Mataji. Yes, this explains it so nicely that this particular place that we live in is like a blazing fire of material existence. It's compared to a forest fire, when a forest fire can only be extinguished when a cloud pours water over it. So similarly, the spiritual master, by his mercy, is showing his mercy through auspicious qualities, distinguishing this blazing burning of material existence, of this repeated birth and death. So it's so important about accepting a spiritual master, following his instructions, being submissive to him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And earlier on, the verse was mentioning about the river Saraswati. Does anybody know where River Saraswati is right now? Okay. It's actually dried up at the moment. So you've got Ganga Devi in the north and Yamuna Devi in the north. And last week we mentioned about the 9 holy rivers. And then Mother Saraswati is actually on the northwestern side of India or Bharatavarsha. But over many thousands of years ago, it seems like it's been dried up. I'll just quickly read a portion of this. The Saraswati River is the river first mentioned in the Rig Veda, and later in the Vedic and post-Vedic texts. Played an important role in the Vedic religion and praying in all but the fourth book of the Rig Veda. As a physical river, it is the oldest text of the Rig Veda. It is described as a great and holy river in northwestern India. But in the middle and late Rig Vedic books, it is described as a small river ending in a terminal lake. As the goddess Saraswati, the other reference for the term Saraswati, which developed into an independent identity in post-Vedic times, the river is also described as a powerful river and mighty flood. The Saraswati is also considered by Hindus to exist in a metaphysical form, in which it is formed a confluence with the sacred rivers Ganges and Yamuna at the Triveni Sangam. I believe this is where the Kumbh Mela takes place as well. This was one of the different places of nectar that fell from the pot from Lord Dhanvantari. And some of you from the 90s probably remember that song or film, Ganga Jamuna Saraswati. It was always blaring out wherever you were going, if you were traveling in India during that particular year when the Kumbh Mela was taking place, that holy place itself. According to Michael Witzel, a superimposed on the Vedic Saraswati River is to be a heavenly river, the Milky Way, which is seen as a road to worldly and heavenly afterlife. So I don't know much about the river Saraswati. What was the reason behind it trying?
According to
Yeah.
according to the commentary of our Acharya, Saraswati is actually a hidden river. She's not dried up as such, but she's underground and not visible to the eye.
Okay, yeah, that's what I heard as well. She's actually underground, and there are some tributaries which are still flowing, but it's been siphoned off by the other rivers adjacent to it as well. Yes, I remember watching this video many years ago, and they actually did an aerial survey from a satellite over that particular area, and they could see evidence of the river Saraswati flowing in that particular path. Thank you very much, Adish, for that. Now I'll go into verse number 22. Tasyantritasyo sanaso manoscha Prito ategna asitasya vayoha Tritam sadasya kavamugo hasya Yachate vasya sa ashive seve. You'll have to excuse my Sanskrit, it's not exactly the best pronunciation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely Trita, Musana, Manu, Pitu, Agni, Ashita, Vayu, Sudasa, Guha, and Shraddha Deva. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. So, with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from his during the time when he was performing his pastimes, he mentioned about 5 particular important aspects for a devotee to follow. Does anybody know that particular verse at all? It's to do with, did I get rid of it? Oh, here. It's from this verse here, from Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 128. Does anybody want to read this at all? Palika Mataji, are you there?
There.
Do you want to read that?
Okay, Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtana Bhagavat Sravana Mathuravash Sri Murti Shraddha Shevana. Yeah, that's it. One should associate with the devotee, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. Madalila 22, 1-8.
Thank you, Palika Mataji. I just wanted to share that with you because it does mention about residing in Mathura, but also visiting the holy places of the Holy Dharma is such an important aspect. And this is what Mathura is actually doing, is visiting all the holy places along the banks of the river Yamuna. In total, there was 11 itself. But as he's doing that, he's also not obviously just, just seeing them like a tourist. He's actually offering prayers, offering oblations to the holy places itself. And likewise, in the scriptures, it mentions about the great personalities, like even Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, even Lord Ramachandra, they go on pilgrimages as well. And it's important that we also follow that aspect as well, because it's a form of purification for ourselves. Most of us have been on some form of pilgrimage, whether it's in Vrindavan or Mathura, different places that we may have visited. Perhaps it could be also for performing final rites for our loved ones. So many reasons why we go for pilgrimage. But the main reason is for purifying ourselves, to connect ourselves to the spiritual realm. And I like that quote by Keshav Bhagavan Maharaj, who also quotes, it's a chance for us to disconnect, to reconnect. So sometimes in our mind, there's so many things going on, work, maintenance around the house, family affairs, other sort of duties and responsibilities. It's never ending. Most of us probably come across this situation every day in our life. But when we go and chant some rounds, read the books of the Bhagavatam, Krishna book, we feel a bit of relief of some connection to Krishna. So sometimes we've got to disconnect from the material world and then free ourselves, go on a pilgrimage, chant extra rounds, read extra pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, associated with the devotees, visit the holy places which have been associated to the beautiful stories and leelas within the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this particular verse is quite nice because it mentions about residing in Mathura, but also visiting these holy places is almost the same as residing in Mathura. And we'll come on to the next verse to say why Mathura is very important. Okay, verse 23. Anyani chahadvija divadeve kritani nanayata nani vishnu patyanga mukyani kitab mandirani yad darshanat Krishna manusmaranti. Translation: there are also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, established by the great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord. They reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Just before I read the purport by Srila Prabhupada, does anybody know what chief emblem of the Lord is? Say in the case of Lord Vishnu, what are the 4 symbols or emblems that Lord Vishnu carries?
Shankha Chakra Gada Padmana.
And did you mention club as well, Palika Mataji?
The Shankha Chakra.
Yeah.
Chakra is the club.
Yeah.
Shankha Chakra Gada, mace.
No.
Gada and Padma. Padma is the lotus.
That's it. Chakra
4.
and Goda. Yeah. And then in that case, that's for Lord Vishnu. He has 4 particular emblems that he holds in his 4 arms. But for Krishna, he has one particular emblem, and I'll tell you which one it is. Human society is divided into 4 social orders of life and 4 spiritual divisions, applying to each and every individual person. This system is called Varnashram Dharma, and has already been discussed in many places in this great literature. The sages are persons who completely devoted themselves to the spiritual upliftment of the entire human society were known as Dvija Deva, the best among the twice born. The denizens of superior planets, from the moon planets and upwards, were known as Devas. But the Dvija Devas and the Devas always establish temples of Lord Vishnu in his various forms, such as Govinda, Madhusadana, Nrsimha, Madhava, Keshava, Narayana, Padmanabha, Parthasarathi, and many others. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, but all of them are non-different from one another. Lord Vishnu has 4 hands, and each hand holds a particular item, either a conch shell, wheel, which is known as the chakra, club, or lotus flower. These 4 emblems, the chakra or wheel, is the chief. Lord Krishna, being the original Vishnu form, has only one emblem, namely the wheel. Therefore, is sometimes called the chakri. The Lord's chakra is a symbol of the power by which the Lord controls the whole manifestation. The tops of Vishnu temples are marked with a symbol of the wheel, so that people may have the chance to see the symbol from a very long distance and at once remembers Lord Krishna. The purpose of building very high temples is to give people a chance to see them from a distant place. This system is carried out in India whenever a new temple is constructed, and it appears that it is coming down from a time before recorded history. The foolish propaganda by atheists that temples were constructed only in later days is refuted here, because Vidura visited these temples at least 5,000 years ago, and the temples of Vishnu were in existence long, long before Vidura visited them. The great sages and demigods never established statues of men or demigods, but they established temples of Vishnu for the benefits of common men to raise them to the platform of consciousness. So here's beautiful another verse by recited in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry, just mute somebody. It mentions about the various different temples within the holy place of Bharatavarsha, and these weren't just built recently. As Prabhupada explains, they were there during the time of Krishna himself. And as Vidura is actually visiting these holy places, he's taking darshan of these holy places. And you can see that the temples, when you actually go to the temples in India, whichever sort of geographical places that you're staying in, whether it's North India, East India, South India, West India, the designs of the temples are so different. The processes of the worship is slightly different. The forms that the deity forms of the Lord are different as well. The processes of the sacrifices, the processes of offering, the dressing of the pujaris, the tilak that are worn by the dressed by the pujaris are different. The prayers, everything seems to be so different. It's unique in its own way. Like when you go to North India, the temple construction is slightly different from South India. It's quite beautiful. When you do travel, you're quite amazed by the different styles of temples that you see around the world. Now, has anybody been to South India at all? Okay, in South India, the temples are so beautifully constructed. These tower are actually the gateways to the main temple within the building, and it's constructed on the 4 gates of the temple itself, surrounded by big high walls. And each of the gate you have was known as, or are called as gopurams. And within a gopuram, there's thousands of different forms of the Lord performing different pastimes that could be displayed. And it's so amazing when you actually see them in great detail. You wonder, how did I actually construct them? When you go inside the temple itself, it has a different sort of style of temples from one sort of geographical state to another state. Is talking about the different, you have the big dome at the top of the where the deities are placed. It's got a different names for each of the places of the temple, the design of the temple itself. And you have the modern temples as well, which are like the new temples constructed by, say, Swaminarayan Mandirs. There's a beautiful temple just recently built in Abu Dhabi. new one built in America, North America. And also, of course, the Krishna conscious temples established by ISKCON itself. You see the Prabhupada Palace temple. You see the new temples built by within ISKCON temple. I think there was one here further down, the Temple of Glory project in Delhi. Okay, it may have been on another page. So anyway, a lot of these temples are from South India. And also, while the devotees are actually performing the different programs around these holy places as well, you've got to remember that within the different traditions or different faiths of world religions, you have the Christianities, you have the Islam faith, you have Judaism. They also perform in different sort of parikrams, places of their religious places itself. So within the parikram itself, you go circumambulate the temple several times. You see pilgrims walking on barefoot, or they are actually doing parikram dandavat. You may have seen them where actually they pay obeisances to the place of pilgrimage, the holy place itself. And then as they get up, where their hands touch the floor, the far end, they put a little stone there, and they stand up and they put their feet where the stone is placed, and they pray offer obeisances again, and then stretch out right to the extreme hands and place another stone at the tip of the hands. It's quite amazing what they actually do. When you go and parikram around Govinda, you see a lot of these devotees offering their obeisances around the places of pilgrimage. You see people of different generations as well, youngsters, elderly people, people who may not be able to walk so well. If you've been to like Tirupati temple, of course you can take a car right to the top of the temple, but can you imagine thousands of years ago there were no roads there at all, there was no transportation, no places of way of getting there. It was almost like dense forest, a little pathway taking you right to the top. If you've been to Tirupati temple, there are steps actually being built, so you can climb right to the top. You can also walk along the pathway or take a car, but the steps are up to 1,500 steps, and it's quite tiring. You've got to be quite fit to get to the top. Earlier this year, I went to Hobalam as well, and when you go right to the top of the mountain where the stamba of Lord Nrsimhadev is, it's a beautiful atmosphere touching that particular stamba of Lord Nrsimhadev where he appeared many, many thousands of years ago from that pillar to save his devotee Prahlad Maharaj from his demonic father, Hiranyakashipu. But the particular place when you go up to the path, there's a particular point where you can't really just walk up the path. You almost have to crawl on fours, your hands and legs as well. There is a rope there that helps and aids you to climb up the mountain. It's almost like 60-degree climb mountain it is. And I tell you, a lot of people find it very difficult when we went on pilgrimage with the patron members because of the extreme heat as well as the harshness of the environment there. Touching the ropes was so extremely hot as well, and you could slip and slide down because it's very loose gravel. So when you do go there, you have to obviously be careful. It's not like an adventure itself, but you're going there for a form of austerity, tapasya, penances, to actually come to a places of holy meditation where you could reflect on the pastimes of that particular deity, of that particular pastime taking place. Also, the chakra, as I mentioned here, the chakra from the Temple of Vedic Planetary, TOV, which was installed, I think, earlier in 2018. I think it actually weighed almost half a ton, and they actually lifted it up by a crane. And sure enough, you can see it for miles and miles and miles away. And when you take darshan, it's been said, like, to take darshan of the chakra at the Jagannath temple, it's like taking darshan of the deity form within the temple itself. But of course, as devotees, we should use whatever endeavor we can to actually go into the temple and visit the deity form of the Lord for ourselves. Of course, in the one of the verses, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that sometimes seeking out or searching for Krishna is far greater than seeing him face to face. Because why? Because while you're seeking out, you're remembering him, constantly focusing on overcoming certain obstacles. You're perhaps fasting as well at the same time. While you're traveling to these places, which can be very, very difficult to attain, or can be very easy depending where you are. But sadly, seeking to a particular place of pilgrimage actually allows you to focus more on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, just got about 5 minutes left. Let's just read, I think it's the last verse, yeah. This is verse 24. Tatastvati Vrajraya, sorry, start again. Tatastva Ativrajya Surastram Vidam Savira Matsyan Guru Jangalamscha Kalena Davaryamuma Paitya Tatro Davam Bhagavatam Dadasha. Translation by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Savira, Matsya, and through Western India known as Kurun Jangala. At last he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to the Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in the Punjab, East India, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. This land is sacred because Lord Krishna traveled through it many times. From the very beginning of his appearance, he was at Mathura, in the house of his maternal uncle Kamsa, and he was reared by his foster father Maharaj Nanda in Vrindavan. There are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land, but the devotees eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him, Vrindavan in pure God consciousness, gives more pleasure to the devotee than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 38. Premangyana Churita Bhaktivilochanena Shantaha Sadeva Hridayesha Valokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Vachitya Gunarasvarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Those who are in ecstasy of love at the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shyamasundar, Krishna, see him always in their hearts, due to the love and devotional service rendered to the Lord. But Vidura and Uddhava were such elevated devotees. Therefore, they both came to the bank of the Yamuna and met each other. So just briefly, Uddhava was actually a cousin of Lord Krishna, which is actually the son of, mentioned that here somewhere. Okay, he was the son of Devabhaga. Devabhaga was the brother of Vasudeva. So sometimes we try and understand what is the relationship between Uddhava and Krishna. So still, although Uddhava was a great devotee and messenger for Krishna, he was actually a direct cousin of Krishna. He had a similar complexion to Krishna himself. And actually, if you've read the Bhagavatam, it's so nice because Krishna follows on from the Bhagavad Gita, which he recited to Arjuna, and it talks a bit more deeper about the worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about deity worship, about devotional service, about considering yourself to become completely devoid of all attachment to material life and becoming focused on serving Krishna. And that's actually recited in the Bhagavatam, one of the cantos. And also, it's also a separate book called the Uddhava Gita. So it's almost like a follow-on to the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita itself. So it's a very beautiful book to read. Those who want to deal more into the devotional aspect, surrendering oneself more deeper to Krishna, having Krishna as within your heart by performing deity worship, for puja performances, so forth, is really worthwhile reading the Uddhava Gita if you haven't read it already, or at least read it from Krishna's reciprocation with Uddhava. So I think that's about ends for today's class. Yep, it's 22 9 now. I'll pass it over to Shriji Kishori. Thank you very much everyone for listening. Please forgive my mistakes, and if there's any comments, please add it onto the chat box. Thank you very much. Vancha Kapa Tarubisha, Kripasindamivacha, Patitanam Pavanebhya, Vaishtavibhyo Namo Namah. Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much.
Jai.
Hare
It was
Krishna.
nice class.
Jai. Very nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Could you please give me rights to share the bhajan lyrics, please? Because I made you host, now it's not allowing me to share.
Do you know which verse it was?
It's the bhajan, I've got it ready on my... Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can share it. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, what was the song though?
A
The
bowl.
song is Bol Hari Bol.
Bowl.
Okay.
Not quite.
Okay, that one?
That's the one. Yes. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Shavin? Hare Krishna, Shavin, are you there to read the English translation, please? I don't think Shavin has joined us yet, so maybe I can ask Indira Mataji, would you like to read the English translation, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Number 1. Chant the name of Hari. O brothers, with blissful minds, chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. Birth after birth, in happiness, chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. O brothers, you have obtained a human birth. Now chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari, whether you are in happiness or distress. Chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. O brothers, whether in prosperity or misfortune, chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. Whether you live at home or in a forest, chant the name of Hari. Remaining in this material world for Krishna's purpose, chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. O brothers, give up the association of non-devotees and chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. Falling at the feet of Vaishnavas, chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari. Chant the names of Gaurang and Nityananda. Chant the name of Gauranga and Gadadhara. Chant the names of Gauranga and Advaita. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Indira Mataji. So nicely recited. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. This is a beautiful bhajan called Bol Hari Bol, and the author is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bol Hari Bol, 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 Bol Hari Bol. मन रे आनंदे बाय बोल हरि बोल, मन रे आनंदे बाय बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. जनमे सुखे बोल हरि बोल, जनमे सुखे बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. मानवे जनमे पाए बोल हरि बोल, मानवे जनमे पाए बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. सुखे थको दुखे थको बोल हरि बोल, सुखे थको दुखे थको बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल, बोल हरि बोल. संपदे विपदे पाए बोल हरि बोल, Sampadevi Pade Bai, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Grehe Thako Vane Thako, Bol Hari Bol, Grehe Thako Vane Thako, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Krishna re samsare thake, Bol Hari Bol, Krishna re samsare thake, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Gora Nityananda, Bol Hari Bol, Gora Nityananda, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Asat sange chadi bol, Bol Hari Bol, Asat sange chadi bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Vaishnavacharane podi, Bol Hari Bol, Vaishnavacharane podi, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Gauranga Nityananda, Bol Hari Bol, Gaura Gadadhara Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Gaura Advaita, Bol Hari Bol, 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 Bol Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari
हरि हरि
Bol.
बोल
Srila Prabhupada ki
जय
Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you so
Wonderful,
much, Mataji. Wonderful singing. Thank
wonderful,
you so much.
beautiful, beautiful thing.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila
All
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Prabhupada
Jai.
ki
Thank you.
Jai. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Hare Krishna, Vanchakapataruvischa, Kripa Sindhavija,
देवजा
Patitana
पतितपावने
Bhavanebhyo,
वैष्णवेभ्यो
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय